Live, and this is going to be exciting because we're going to be talking about finding hidden products for Halloween, but also for Q4. And I've got some cool things that I'm going to share with you. And here's what we're going to do though. While we're waiting for everyone to come in the room, I think we had over 1,487 people was the last time that Natalie had updated me. And we had that many people registered to show up to this. So awesome. And thank you. And everyone that is here in the EverBee community, I want to thank you guys for showing up. I want to thank Natalie. I want to thank Cody for putting this on and really allowing us to share this information with you. Yes, we are going to be using EverBee, obviously, because it's the tool of choice. It's the one that we're using all the time. And everything that I'm going to be sharing with you here today is going to be, as you're looking over my shoulder, I'm going to be drilling down, giving you the step-by-step on how to actually make all this happen. And this is really, really important because we want to be able to get ahead, right? So right now, depending on when you're watching this or when you're watching this live or on the replay, you might be watching it just before August, right? So right now, think about this for a second. And I don't know if it's just my Lowe's or my Home Depot, but they're already putting Halloween stuff out. I think they put it out like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, because I went in there to get something for my patio. And I noticed that they had some stuff on sale for the summer. And I'm like, well, why is everything on sale so far? It's just July. No, they're clearing it out so they can put all the Halloween stuff out because they want as much time to be able to sell the Halloween stuff. And this is how we have to think about Q4, by the way. So today, what I really want you to take away from this is, number one, start planning now for Halloween, right? And then also start planning for fall and Thanksgiving and then Christmas. So that's what we're going to be talking about here today. Really excited for you guys to be here live. If you guys would do me a quick favor in the comments, let us know where you're tuning in from and what you're most excited about for this little workshop that we're going to be doing here today. Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you real quick. Can you let me know how everything's going in the chat? And are we in fact live, or am I just talking to myself in my camera?
Well, you are always talking to yourself as long as you're not answering yourself. I think that's the rule, right? It's like you can talk, you just are not allowed to answer. It looks like we are live. We got up over 100 people in already with us. We got 850 plants saying hello from Tallahassee, Florida. Albert saying good evening from Belgium, Louisiana, UK, Pennsylvania, USA, my home turf. Scotland, Canada, Colorado Springs, Ontario, Canada, Southern California, checking in from Utah, and Sweden so far in the house. So, Scott, we got a bunch of people from a bunch of different places all over the world ready to hang out with us. And you were just touching on getting ready a little bit early for this kind of stuff. And you and I were having a conversation yesterday, I think. It's all kind of blurred together here.
It all blends. Yeah.
Where we were talking about, it's fine to get ready for the holidays as a consumer. Let's say Christmas, the beginning of December, that's fine. Like, it's weird to buy your Christmas tree in October unless you're buying a nice fake tree, but it's weird for retailers not to have that stuff out already. And I was saying last year at Christmas, I walked into Target on December 26th, which I wouldn't suggest that anybody does because everybody's trying to redeem their gift cards, return the stuff that they got that they don't like, all of those kinds of things. But in the back half of Target, away from the customer service desk where they had giant lines of people, they were getting rid of all of the Christmas stuff from their holiday section and putting up the Valentine's Day stuff on December 26th. And we are at this point, as of the time that we're recording this, 3 months out from Halloween, just over 3 months out from Halloween. We're about 4 months out from Thanksgiving, Black Friday. We're 5 months out from Christmas. And it may feel like it's too early to get ready for this stuff, but it really isn't. And in fact, we did a live yesterday over at Brand Creators as part of the Rock Your Brand podcast. And we had people saying they've been selling Christmas ornaments for 3-4 weeks already, right? So it's never too early to put this stuff up. And in fact, if this is your first year selling on Etsy and you're getting this stuff up now, you will be surprised that you're selling Christmas ornaments in January, February, March, not nearly the volume that you're going to be selling in October and November, but you are still making those sales. And so now is the time. We have to think 3, 4, 5 months ahead in a lot of cases, especially in the Etsy ecosystem. There's a lot of different reasons for that. The main reason is the way that the Etsy algorithm works. And we've talked about this in the past, right? If we get up just in time for Halloween, will we get some sales? Probably. Do we have the chance to optimize to be able to get as many of those sales out of Etsy ads and Etsy SEO if we get up a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the holiday? The answer is no. Even though our products may technically be live on the site, Etsy's not going to have the data to put us in the right position, which is obviously always number one in the search results, right? And we don't have the opportunity to say, hey, I'm trying to optimize for a few different keywords here. Maybe it's Halloween, maybe it's fall, maybe it's Thanksgiving. And there's all kinds of different variations of those. And so I'm going to just shove all of those in my title. And if we just do that, yes, we have the chance to rank for all of those. But if we do that 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 months in advance, we have the opportunity to look and say, okay, I know that I really want to optimize for fall rather than Thanksgiving, or I know that I really want to optimize for Halloween rather than All Saints Day, or whatever the different variations are. And the way that we're able to do that is Etsy starts to give us data on the two most important things, traffic and sales. And we can say, all right, this type of a keyword, this way that people are talking about my niche related to this holiday, every time I get some traffic for that, it leads to a sale. The other way that they're talking about this holiday and my niche together doesn't lead to sales. So I'm going to get rid of those keywords and make sure that I can really rank number one for the thing that's actually driving sales. And if we get ready now, we have the ability to look at that data. If we get ready the end of September, we don't have the ability to look at that data. So getting ready sooner rather than later, even for procrastinators like we discussed yesterday, yourself and myself, right? Just keeping in mind that our deadline is not October 31st. It's really more like July 31st, August 31st, maybe September 1st, right? To start getting ready for this stuff. Our real hard deadline is not the same deadline as it would be if we are a consumer. It's 2, 3, potentially even 4 months in advance as the retailer, because we need to be ready when the people are ready, and we need to have the data to help us make the right decisions before we get to the place where people actually really start buying for whatever the holiday, whatever the thing is during Q4.
Yep. And that's exactly what we're going to be helping you guys with here today. I mean, this is something that we're doing currently. I say we, myself and my wife. My wife is actually right over there right now, actually hard at work, creating some new designs and putting them up for Halloween. And actually, she just put up a couple of new designs here this past week and already got a couple of sales. And it also triggered people to come into the shop and they bought some Christmas stuff. So it's pretty crazy. So one thing before we kick this off officially, I would like to know how many of you are brand new, never sold anything yet on Etsy. And then I want to know anyone that has been selling for, let's just say, over a year. So if you guys could let us know that in the comments, that would be great. That way we can kind of get a gauge as far as where you are in this Etsy selling journey. All right. So with about 160 people on here right now, I'm going to go ahead and kick this thing off officially, and let's get down on it, as Kool and the Gang used to say. I think it was. I think that's who sang that song. So let's get rocking and rolling here. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides that I have already and prepared, and we're going to officially kick this off. So this here is going to be this whole live stream, and this video, if you're watching it on a replay, is all about this: is how to find these hidden products that are really, they're kind of underneath the surface. And if we're able to find products, now I'm not saying we're going to find products and we're just going to copy them. That is not what we're all about. What I am about is I'm not wanting to guess. I want to go after products that have been proven to sell, or at least even getting ideas for designs that have sold. And now with the tool EverBee, we're able to do that because, well, they give us all of this data, right? We get access to it. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you today, though, some hacks. All right. And I don't hear anybody really talking about this, but these are things that I use that allows me to dig a little deeper, to really kind of mine for that gold and find some of those hidden products that are not just on the surface. All right. I'm going to share with you that. I'm also going to share with you a bonus hack that takes it even a level deeper, that we can go and drill down a little bit deeper and potentially find some other products or other ideas that could lead to other products for us to potentially sell. Now, these are most of the time, they're not just products, but they are designs, okay? Or they are a type of product, right? That's really what we're looking at here, all right? Because yes, we can have a design, but then what are selling the best? Is it a tumbler? Is it a pillow? Is it a sweatshirt? Is it a hoodie? Is it a crew neck sweatshirt? Like, what is it, right? So we can also get some intel there. So that's what we're going to be doing here. Real excited. So let's go ahead and let's get going here. So, all right. So this is going to be the 5-minute hack to find hidden Etsy products for Halloween in Q4. And the reason why I threw in there Q4, because I'm going to share with you how you can do this for Halloween. You can do it for Christmas. You can do it for any holiday, by the way. All right. So the very first thing I want to point out here is this, all right, is we need to understand that there is a period of time that happens for these holidays. And we want to know when that period of time starts and when it peaks and then when it starts to tail off. Well, Google gives us this information for free, by the way. So this is Google Trends. All right. And this is free for everyone. And all I did was I put in here Halloween sweatshirt. All right. And I did it for the last 5 years. All right. Now, you might notice that there's a spike every single year about the same time. And that is going to be around, well, Halloween, right? And this is for a Halloween sweatshirt. This isn't just the holiday Halloween. This is for Halloween sweatshirt. Okay. So I went very, very specific on what I was looking for, because people around Halloween, they're buying a Halloween sweatshirt for maybe it's a party, or maybe it's their school teacher and they want to wear one to school, or like there's all of these different reasons why people would buy a Halloween sweatshirt. So this is great intel, because then we can also look and see, like, when does it start? When does the search start? When does someone start thinking along the lines of, I want to go get a sweatshirt so I can wear it for Halloween, right? So this is really, really important to understand and to know when that time period is. All right. So here's another example, Thanksgiving sweatshirt. I just threw that in there. Look at that. I got peaks at the same exact time, right? And you can see there, I put an arrow there because that's when it starts to climb, right? November 13th through the 19th. So that means that I probably want to go back a couple weeks even and say that's when the searches start. So let's say November 1st. Okay. Because then it gives you almost not all month, but you get like 3 weeks, right? But people aren't going to buy it the day before Thanksgiving. So we need to give ourselves some time before, but at least we know that at this time, this is when the searches are happening. Okay. This is when the searches are happening. And here's Christmas sweatshirt. So all I did was I took the holiday and I plugged in sweatshirt. That was it. Okay. And you can see I get similar results here of when it's peaking, but I also see when it starts to tail down, and I start to see when it starts to take off, and all of these things. Now, the cool thing is inside of EverBee, we are able to use this. Like, it's Google Trends, but they're giving us a shortcut here. So right there, if you see at the top there, you click on that little graph, it says, well, it doesn't say it, but it will take you there. It'll say Google Trends, right? It's a little graph. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, it's going to be a trend graph, but that's just because that's kind of what I know that would mean. But that's why I wanted to point this out. A lot of people don't know that that's there, right? So use that. All right. If you are searching for something, so in this case, I did Halloween sweatshirt spooky, and I can go ahead and click on that now, and I can see what that is going to come up in Google Trends. Guys, let me know in the comments. Is that something that you've been using? I'm just curious. Drop that in the comments and let us know if that's a feature that you've been using. It's one that I use. I like it because it's easy. I can go ahead and click there. I don't have to go outside of EverBee. I can just click it. It'll take me to a new window, and I can look at everything inside of the Google Trends. So make sure that you're using that if you're not already. All right. So before we do move on here, I'm assuming that you're using EverBee. If you're watching this in the EverBee group, or if you're watching this in the EverBee YouTube channel, you're probably using EverBee. If you're watching this maybe on our channel under brand creators, or maybe someone shared it with you and you're not yet using EverBee, you can definitely try it. And I will leave a link right there, brandcreators.com/90. And the reason why that 90 is there is because there's a little special thing that we're offering when you go to that link. And it's a little bonus that we're offering. We'll talk more about that later. But if you're interested in checking it out and trying it, if you're not yet, make sure that you do. All right. And go to brandcreators.com/90. All right. So let's get into it. Step number 1 is we're going to start with a search. That's where everything starts, okay? So as you can see here, I'm inside of EverBee, or I'm sorry, I'm inside of Etsy, and EverBee is already there, right? So when I have EverBee installed, it's automatically with me every place I go. So the very first thing I'm doing is I'm putting in Halloween sweatshirt, right? Just like I said before. So step number one is do the search. Start with the search. Now, the second thing, step number two, is I'm going to run product analytics. Okay. And that's that little arrow there that I have pointed there. You're just going to click on that. And then all of a sudden, we're going to get results. You probably already know that if you've been using EverBee. Nothing groundbreaking here, right? Hold on a minute. All right. I've got some stuff for you. So that's the very first thing that we're going to do. Step two is run product analytics. And we're going to get all that data pulled in. Step number three is we're going to start utilizing and applying the filters. And this is where a lot of people are not using this. And this is where we can start to mine for those little gold nuggets. All right. So if you have not used filters, you should start using the filters. Let me know that in the comments as well. If you are using EverBee, let us know, are you using the filters? This is like a hidden little feature here that's kind of built in. I say hidden, it's there, but not a lot of people know it's there and they don't use it. All right. So I want to show you what we can do here. So I went ahead and I searched Halloween sweatshirt. Well, what happens is when you do that, what's going to happen is it's going to give you all of the stuff that's related to that, not necessarily a sweatshirt. Okay. Now, what I can do is I can put in there in the product name, I can say, I want to have only listings come back that have sweatshirt in them. Let me say that again. I'm going to take that product name and I'm going to say, I want sweatshirt in there. And immediately when you do that, you don't have to do anything else but type in that word and it's going to automatically start to sort and you're going to see it moving. And then all of a sudden, boom, it locks in. So that's the very first thing. You're going to be able to narrow it down to what you're looking for and not just like everything that comes back for Halloween, right? Because that's kind of what'll happen. Anything related to Halloween can come back from that search, even though we put in Halloween sweatshirt. Okay. It gets better though. I got some more stuff here, so hang tight. All right. So the next thing, and this is something that EverBee recently added, which is amazing, by the way. And this is searching through the entire database, all of the listings. Now, this database is constantly being built, okay, in the background. Okay. This is what we have access to when we use EverBee, by the way. Pretty cool. So now I'm not just looking at what's on the surface, because the way it used to work is like you would load a page and then you would run the extension EverBee and it would go ahead and pull all the data from that page. And if you wanted to see something else, you would go to another page. And it's kind of like what's there now. With the database, what we're able to do is we're able to go back in time. That is a huge advantage. Because if we can go back in time and see what it was last year and maybe even the year before that, now we can start to look at products that might have did well, and then other people just stopped selling on Etsy and they're just not selling those products anymore. They're kind of lost. They're kind of forgotten. So that's how we can dig and mine through some of that older data. All right. So let me show you what I did here. So I click on that. So this is step 4, by the way, is search the entire database. Okay. And then in step 5, we're going to refine the sales history. So this is another little ninja little trick here. In the filters, I'm putting in here, I only want to see total sales minimum of 1,000. Minimum total sales of 1,000. So you see, I got rid of anything that only did like 100 sales or maybe 50 sales. I don't want to see them. I only want to see products that have sold at least 1,000. Okay. Now you can change this 500, 300, whatever you want. Right. And so I put that in there. And then it automatically gives me only products that meet that criteria. This is a big one, guys. Like using the filters is going to really hone in on some of these products that are going to meet your criteria. Now, I've also done it before where I say, well, I want the price to be $20 is the minimum. Anything above that. So then I'm not seeing products that are $4 or $3. And then I can narrow it down on that too, right? I can go even higher if I want to. So that's where we're able to take this data that EverBee's collecting and really giving us access to, but now we're able to apply these filters to really drill in. It's kind of like, I like the show Gold Rush, where they go out and they do like a little test pan. They'll drill a hole, they'll do a test pan. And then if it's good, they keep drilling in that area. Well, that's kind of what we're doing here. right? We're testing certain areas. Like maybe this one here, the Halloween sweatshirt wasn't a really good search. I would know that just by what the results came back the first time. And then I can decide if I want to keep drilling, keep digging. All right. So guys, in the comments, let me know so far. Is this helpful? Is this something that you think that you're going to be able to utilize in your own Etsy shop? Just curious. Drop it in the comments. Let us know. All right, let's move on. So that's step number 5, refining the sales history. Now, here's what I want to do though. Here's some other things that we can do is we can analyze the listing age, the favorites, and the views. Now, views, that was something else that EverBee just kind of brought into the game. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it was 4 or 5, maybe 6 months ago. And so now we get to see views. Why is that important? It shows us that that product is being searched for. It's getting impressions. Why is favorites a big deal? Well, maybe people didn't buy it, but they favorited it because they liked it, right? So it's another vote that people are actually interested in this. So we're looking at views as a demand piece, right? That data is giving us demand. We know that, wow, that one there got 209,000 views. That must have some pretty good demand, right? And then it got favorited 12,763. I think that is. I can't really read that small there. I got my glasses on. I'm kind of straining here a little bit. And then it's been active for 12 months, right? So that's a really cool thing. By us being able to see that, now we're able to see, okay, yes, it's gotten sales, but what's the views like? What are the favorites like? Like we can even, if we wanted to, we can look at the reviews. We can say, okay, how many reviews does it average? Well, that one there's got 155. Okay, cool. Right? So all of this stuff helps us decide on what products that we should be looking at. Now, again, like I said earlier, we're not copying these. We're drawing inspiration. We're also maybe even looking at like just Halloween sweatshirts in general. Do they sell? Is there a demand for these things? Right? Maybe it's something else you're going to do. Maybe you're going to do Halloween baby onesies, right? And you're going to do that one. And then you're going to want to run the same process through that search. All right. So this is really, really good stuff. This is something that I don't hear anyone talking about as far as like the Etsy gurus out there. And I've got no problem with Etsy gurus, by the way. People have said that I'm an Etsy guru. I'm not really. I don't feel like that. I mean, my wife's got a shop. I help her with it. And I just like marketing. And I build brands. But yes, this is exactly what you do in order to really, really look and see what you can potentially sell that will sell, that we're not guessing. And that's what this tool is really, really good for. All right. So the other thing I kind of wanted to highlight here is then when we find a couple of products, we can then look at all of the data together. So in this case, and I'm going to show you some data on these two, just to kind of give you an example. But if I look at these, I'm like, wow, we've got 4,940 total sales. Then I can look and I can go, okay, well, how old's the listing? 34 months. So that tells me that that's had almost, let's see, 3 Halloweens, right? So if it's had 3 Halloweens, then I'm like, well, there's a pretty good chance that it's probably selling every Halloween. So that's good. It gives me history, you see? So before, like I said, before EverBee allowed us to, before they built this feature in, we didn't have access to this, but now we can actually go 3 years in the past and see what's done well. So this is like, oh my gosh, like if there was only one tool that I would want and need for the Etsy side of stuff is this, because this here is going to help us find products faster. It's also going to allow us to find products that will sell and that we're not guessing. So to me, like, whatever plan you're going to get. I mean, I get the annual and I'm on the growth plan. So it's like $20 a month. Like really $30 a month if you're on the monthly, like seriously, like no brainer. So anyway, that's what I would do there is look at those and start analyzing the products. So if we look at this one in particular, you can see EverBee gives us everything in a nice little dashboard here, right? But if I look at this, it's 34 months old. It's had 4,940 sales. It's brought in $5,510, 145 average monthly sales, right? Views, 218,631, favorited 16,816 times. And let's see here. It looks like the reviews is like 25-ish per month and 885 total. right? I can even look down at the keywords in the tags and get those. So I can go ahead and do that. I can also look at the average conversion rate. So if you guys don't know what the conversion rate is, it's like, imagine you have 100 people that visit or that, that click on your product. That means out of every 100 clicks, they're selling 2.2. So let's just call it 2 right now. So they're selling 2 per 100. That means that, okay, maybe we got to get that conversion rate up. So how do we get that conversion rate up? Maybe we got to have better images. Maybe we got to have better title. Maybe we got to have better description, like whatever, right? We can improve that. But this shows me that it's converting at a pretty good rate. Now for e-commerce, 2 is pretty good, but I like that to be higher. Obviously anyone would, but I'd say if you're getting like a 4 or a 5, you're crushing it. So anyway, that's what we get there. So really, really cool stuff. And then this is another one. I love this one, right? Thick thighs, spooky vibes. That's pretty funny. So that's there for a baby, right? They've got, like thick thighs. I mean, gosh, you could say that to a baby, but you can't say that to us, like you don't want to say that, oh, you're looking a little thick there, Scott. You'd be like, well, what do you mean? I've been working out.
I won't take offense to that.
Yeah, no. Thick thighs, spooky vibes. But look at this, right? 12 months. It's a year old. And so this is probably one Halloween season. And they did, let's see, 2,187 sales, $3,077. And it looks like 161,000 views, favorited 8,175 times, right? And then I can go down and look at the keywords down in the tags, and I can get some ideas there, right? So this is why looking at the data this way it's just incredible to be able to make really good decisions. All right, I've got another product idea tip for you. And this one here is using the auto suggest. Now, another thing that EverBee has built in is they have their keyword analysis as well. Now, I will say this, and EverBee will say it as well. Like, this is their algorithm that they've built into the tool. Etsy, Amazon, Google, no one gives exact search numbers. Okay. So just to kind of put it out there. So these are like good guesses, right? But they're very, very calculated guesses by a lot of data comparisons. Okay. And they have their own proprietary algorithm that they've built for their keyword stuff. So like here, Christmas sweatshirt, 3,156 monthly searches. Cool. Okay. If I go down here, Christmas sweatshirt vintage, 1,826. So that might be something you know what? That's a good product idea. Maybe I should look at that. And then I would take that, and guess what I would do? I'd go follow all of the steps that I just went through with you here a minute ago, right? I would take that. I would do the search. I would do product analytics on that. Then I would go ahead and I would drill into the past data. I would go through the whole process, right? So this is how you can find other ideas that just aren't there on the surface. All right. So this is a great way to do that. Now, drilling a little bit deeper here. Okay. Like I had said, if we take, like I did before, there's one other thing I want to share with you here is if we take the product name, like we talked about, sweatshirt. So I only want to see things that have sweatshirt in the title. Okay. Then I'm going to go to total sales. I want to go for 1,000, but then there's another thing we can do. What if we said we only want to see listings that are at least 8 months old? I mean, we can get that granular. This way here, I'm not like, I don't want to see a listing that's just a month old, right? Or I don't want to see a listing. Maybe I don't want to see a listing that's more than 12 months. Maybe I want to see something because I want to see something newer that's doing well. I can do that too. So that's a way that we can do it. And know that that little thumbs up smiley face does not come with EverBee, by the way. I put that in there. So you don't get that. You don't get to see that little guy there. Maybe that's a little feature we can ask EverBee to throw in there. Maybe a little, hey, that's a good product. That would be kind of funny. But anyway, drilling a little bit deeper is always a good idea, and using those filters, play around with them. Do for the monthly sales if you want to, or the monthly revenue, or price. Like I said, if you want to see products that are only $25 or more, put that in there. That's all that you'll get back. So it really, really powerful to use those filters. And you can see right here, now that I found that one product, I can drill in a little bit deeper. I can look at this. I can go, okay, well, they sold 1,273. It's only been live for 9 months. So it's one Christmas season. They made $7,781 on that, on that product last season. And that's just one product, by the way, right? It was favorited 4,413 times, and it had 70,962 views, and the conversion rate was 1.79. Okay. So Really, really good stuff. And I hope that you guys are as excited as I am to be able to get access to this data. And if you are, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. And if you guys have any questions on this, we are going to answer questions here at the end. But I want to get through the content so I can actually show you everything, and then we can go ahead and answer any questions. All right. So once again, drilling deeper, I can go ahead and take the results, and I can go ahead and refine them. I found these two that stood out to me, and the one is 10 months old. The one is 9 months old. And you can see here, we've got, what was it here? The monthly revenue was 5,700 on the other. Total sales on the one was 2,164 and then 1,473 on the other. So those two, I might want to dig into. I might want to look a little bit further and see what they are. And is it a product that I can draw inspiration from? Like this right here, like Merry and Bright. Okay. Well, that's a sweatshirt. It's a cute little thing with it looks very minimalistic, right? It's got like just some line art kind of stuff. And yeah, it did pretty well. So I can look at that and go, can I create something similar to that? That color, maybe I look at that color and I go, maybe I got to offer that. I don't know if it's called like army green, but whatever the color is. I know there's going to be some ladies on here that are going to say, Scott, that's that green. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I didn't know, but that's why my wife, does all my, clothes picking for me. She helps me out with the colors and stuff. But anyway, that's what we're doing there is we're drilling deeper, and it's really important that we do that. So I do have a bonus hack, but I'll only share it if you say that you want me to share it. If you guys, I'm actually doing this. I want to take a sip of water. And I put this in here to give me a break. But little bonus hack. We're going to drill a little bit deeper, but just comment yes if you want this bonus hack. And this is going to help me stall so I can take a sip of water, and Chris can kind of chime in here and let me know if I need to address anything. Go ahead, Chris. What do you got?
We're getting a lot of yeses. Yes. Pretty please. I like that one. Yes, please. M Joy said, nah, I'm good. That's fine. You can just like turn your speakers down while we're sharing this if you don't want to hear it. That's fine too. EverBee wants to know what your bonus hack is. I'm loving to see that. We're getting all kinds of people saying yes. Jack in the shop, who started hanging out with us yesterday, said hashtag hack. So I like that. Heck yes, yes, please, with prayer hands. Yes, and need it in all caps. So I think, Scott, we're safe to share that. And for those of you who don't want the super secret ultimate ninja bonus hack, I'm just throwing as many of those buzzwords in there as we possibly can.
Yeah, of course.
Bonus hack. Just turn your speakers down, and I'll like wave or something when we're done, and then you can turn them back up and keep hanging.
All right, cool. Let's dig in, guys. You guys are great. I'm just having some fun, and you guys are having fun. So thank you for having fun with us. We like to play a little bit. So, all right, cool. Let's go ahead and let's drill in. So the bonus hack is this. Once you open up that listing, so let me just go back here real quick, right? So once we go into here, right, like in where it says listing details, right alongside that where it says shop details, let me show you what we can do here. The very first step in this little bonus hack is we're going to click on shop details. Okay. Step 2, we're going to analyze the shop. All right. So let's move on. Then in step 3, we're going to analyze all the listings. So what we did is we found a shop that has a really good product. Now they might just have one-off product, but let's go ahead and find out if they have other products that we could draw inspiration from. So in step 3, we're going to analyze all their listings. Now remember, this is just for what is on that page, but I'm going to show you how we can get around that. So here we are now going to go into the filters. All right. And we are looking at all of the previous stuff as well. So we go into the filters, and I put 2 arrows there to kind of make it easy for you guys to see it. So we have to click filters. Then from there, we're going to make sure that Christmas is selected like we did before, because that's what we're looking at here. And then I'm looking at these 2 right here that stood out to me. So that's step 4. All right. Is you have to select those filters. Oops. I skipped ahead too quick. So what we're able to do now is we're able to look at either the previous. So if you're in here, let me go back here. If you're here, you want to go into analyze all listings. If all you do is look at this, we're only looking at like that page. Okay. What this is allowing us to do in step 3 is analyze all the listings, meaning everything that is live that they have history on, because EverBee has collected the data and it's stored in their database. So now we're accessing the history of this, not just what's there, right? And so if we go back here now to step 4, when we use these filters, now we can kind of mine a little bit deeper and start drilling in to what is sold. So we can see 16 months ago, that one product sold pretty well, right? It's got 729 sales, okay? And it did like $1,800. Then the other one down below that, 21 months old, and that one did 423 sales. Now, it doesn't look like it was really that much. So it says it was, let's see here, $340. Is that right? Yeah, I think I'm seeing that right. The screen's small for me, Chris, what I'm reading here, but it's $20. So it might have been whatever. It doesn't really, let's see here, 340 on the monthly revenue. And they,
20 times 17 would be 340.
Okay, $17 is what they got. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, so their monthly, that's their monthly. Okay, got it. I was looking at overall total. So that's the monthly. Okay, so that's not bad, right? So now I would look at those and I go, okay, do I want to dig into these? Do I want to see what they are, what types of products? So that's just a way that we're able to now narrow it down even further and start isolating shops that have done well, right? And then we can draw inspiration from them. All right, so that's the little bonus hack. Let me go back here, walk you through it one more time. So step 1 is click on shop details. Step 2 is go and analyze the shop details. Click on that button. And then from there, we're going to not just look at this data, we're going to click into where it says analyze all listings. That's a huge step right there. Step number 3 is doing that. And then in step 4, we're going to then use the filters to look at maybe just their Christmas stuff, or maybe look at their Halloween stuff, or maybe look at whatever holiday, right? Fill in the blank, whatever we want to look at. And then it will sort with just that in the title, because that's what we're looking at right now. And that's what you're going to do. So real simple. And within 5 minutes, you can do both of these, right? It's not that hard. And once you get going, it's kind of like anything. Like once you do it once, then it's like, okay, you just follow the steps, click, 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 and you're just in. And that's it. So that's how you do that little bonus hack. Now, one last important tip, and I really want to address this, is always make sure that you're not violating trademarks. All right. Use common sense, right? Disney, Barbie. I mean, Barbie movie's out now. People are going crazy. My daughter just went and saw it with my son and his wife, and they had a great time, all dressed up in pink and all that stuff, right? Barbie. Well, I guarantee there's people on Etsy right now going to be selling some Barbie stuff. If that's you, please stop, because you could get in trouble and you could get sued, or you can just get shut down. So we don't want to do that. So Disney, Barbie, Taylor Swift, like obvious stuff, right? All of these popular singers, country singers. I see people out there putting all this, this country music stuff out there. Like, don't do it. Like, just don't do it. Movies, TV shows like Yellowstone. I see people selling Yellowstone stuff. I'm a Yellowstone fan of the show. Just, yeah, don't do that. Okay. So I just wanted to throw that out there, just to kind of warn you, don't do that. It's not worth it. So make sure that you stay within, the trademark laws and all of that stuff. You want to make sure that you do that. All right. So inside of EverBee, once you have your products and they are launched, maybe you're using some keywords or some title things in your, or some keywords in your title that are infringing on a trademark, or maybe you have a product that's infringing. Well, EverBee just rolled this feature out not that long ago, where it will monitor your listings and it will give you some red flags if it's in question. Now, some of these might not mean anything. They might be like, you might check them and go, no, I'm good. And you're like, okay, good. It's more of a detection device. So this way here, you can kind of see on your listings and make sure that you're within, terms of service and all that stuff, even though Etsy doesn't really do anything unless they get someone that files a complaint. But this is just a great way to keep your account safe. So they just built this in, really great tool as well, or an additional tool or feature built into EverBee. And there's just so much. The Etsy calculator, I didn't even talk about that because this wasn't about like figuring out your profit and stuff, but man, that's a time saver. I mean, I use all of these, every single feature. So I definitely am a big fan. And I think that if you're not using it, you definitely should give it a try. So Chris, we are going to answer some questions. So if you guys have any questions, if you haven't already done so, drop them in the comments. And while we're doing that, I did want to also let you guys know that we do have a special EverBee bonus. So if you are currently right now, if you're using EverBee, awesome. Great. Keep using it. What we want to do is, for anyone that's not using it or anyone that upgrades to the annual plan, which actually saves you about 120 bucks a year, we're going to go ahead and give you our niche validation workshop. It was a workshop that we did for a private group, and we did more of what we did here today, but we went even deeper. And it really shows how we are validating niches and products. So if you want that for free, we actually charge for that, but if you want it, you can have it for free. All you need to do is go to brandcreators.com/90 and sign up for the annual plan. And then once you do that, EverBee will get a notification that you purchased and that you will get that bonus. Now, if you want to just be safe and make sure that you get the bonus, just send a support ticket into EverBee. And I believe that's support@everbee.io. And I'm sure Natalie will be on with us right now that can probably say if I was right or wrong on that. But if not, you can always drop it in the comments here too and just tag EverBee. But yeah, so that's what we're doing for anyone that upgrades to the annual plan. I'm a big fan of the annual. Number one, we save money, and then you get unlimited searches. You get all of the features unlocked. So definitely a huge fan. And I would definitely recommend upgrading if you have not yet already made this part of your tool arsenal. All right, so let's go back here and let's open it up for some Q&A, Chris.
Let's do it. We got questions rolling in, and I'm trying to mark as many of them as we can as we go through this, Scott. I'm in a niche where sales aren't much overall, and the average price is $70. Should I still turn on ads during Q4 or in general? Yes. If you are selling $70 products, that probably means you have bigger margins than people selling $10 t-shirts. And if we recommend running ads even on $15 t-shirts, we definitely recommend running ads on $70 products. I would say as long as you can make money with ads, you should be running ads. And the only real way to know if you can make money with ads, and I know this sounds kind of counterintuitive, is to spend a little bit of money on ads and to get that data back. And Scott, one of the things that most people miss with ads is they're looking just at the direct return on investment there. And they're forgetting about, I think, the two most important things that we get back from something like Etsy ads, which is one, we get all of the good juju for the SEO algorithm, right? We get clicks and we get sales from Etsy ads, but we also get the more important thing that helps us really capture what is 75 to 80% of sales, which is the data about what keywords are leading to sales. So when someone types in Halloween and they see our product, they buy. If they type in All Saints Day or they type in Happy Halloween, they don't buy our product. So we really want to optimize just for the word Halloween. We can start to get some of that data from Etsy's beta search results that they're giving us on the organic side. But the faster, cleaner, more reliable way to get that data is by spending a few bucks on ads and then really doubling down on what's working and what's not based on that data. So I would say, regardless of kind of your price point, as long as you're making more than 50 cents a dollar on your listings, which, by the way, we shoot typically for $10 plus in profit for the products that we launch, you should be running that. And the reason that we do that is, one, we want it to make it worth our time, energy, and effort to create a product. We don't want to have to sell 10 a day to make $10. If we sell one a day and make $10, really cool. If we have to compete and scrape and scrap to sell 10 a day to make $10, it's not worth our time. And two, then we have a little bit of margin to do something like run some ads, which speeds up the entire process for it. Top G wanted to know, what are your thoughts on Etsy dropshipping? Etsy doesn't allow direct dropshipping, so our thoughts are, don't do it. You should only ever be selling products on Etsy that you create and or own. A lot of people confuse dropshipping with print on demand. Dropshipping is selling someone else's product and then shipping it after someone purchases it. Print on demand is selling your product and creating it after somebody purchases it. So dropshipping bad, print on demand good, right? Tracy said, and we got this question yesterday as well, is the word Halloween trademarked? And the answer is no. However, you may recall there is a horror movie called Halloween, right?
Yes.
And so using that, is that Halloween is Michael Myers, right?
Yes.
I'm showing my horror niche knowledge over here. So if you're doing that with like a Michael Myers mask, that would be a trademark violation. Saying Halloween Town. Scott, did you and your family ever watch the Halloween Town movies?
I don't know if we did. Chris.
There's like 7 of them, and I'm not sure why.
I don't
I've
know.
seen them. They're really popular with people who like Hallmark type movies. But Halloween Town would be another thing that would be trademarked.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween is a generic phrase, and so you can say that, right? Those would be things that are not
Yeah.
trademarked, are not copyrighted. Anything that's a common phrase can't be trademarked or copyrighted. And you may remember, Scott, in the early 2000s, there was a big push from a couple large companies like Kleenex and
Oh, yeah.
Velcro to stop using their terminology to refer to the products because it was becoming too general and they were being threatened with losing their trademark, which is why you will now see things called facial tissues and
Yeah.
hook and loop fastener, which
Yep.
are just Kleenexes and Velcro, but it's the the generic way of referring to those products. That would be okay, right? So you can't trademark or copyright those things. What is the best keyword volume competition ratio to find the best keywords to use as tags? So is there like a magic number that we're looking for, Scott, when we're trying to come up with our tags for our listings?
No. So here's the deal. Here's my thoughts on keyword stuff. Um, your most important place to put your keywords is in the title. We all know that. And really, when you're putting it in your tags, it's a secondary place to allow Etsy to know kind of like what your product is about. My thing is like, you're probably only going to find 5 keywords that drive a bulk of your traffic. And probably it's going to be more like 2, right? So all of those additional ones are just extra. I wouldn't spend a whole bunch of time trying to figure out what the best ones are. What I would spend more time on is my title and my images, and I would run Etsy ads because it's going to come down to sales. You can have better tags than me, but if I have more sales, I'm going to outrank you no matter what. It doesn't matter, right? So you could have 3 tags in there, right? But if my description's well written, if my title's good, and I get a lot of sales, it's not going to really matter. I've seen it. I've actually done the research with just looking at the data inside of EverBee and looking at some products that have sold really well and they got 3 tags, right? And everyone else has loaded their tags. They got everything. So I wouldn't put so much time and effort into tags. I'd also want to make sure that that product that you're spending so much time on to get that thing to rank, is there a lot of demand for it? Right. That's another mistake. I see people they think that the product might do well, or they look at it and they go, oh, it's getting 100 sales. If I get number 1, I'll get 100 sales. No, that's not how it works. So my thing here is like, don't spend so much time trying to find, 10 great keywords for your tags. Spend a little bit of time. I'm not looking at like ratio and numbers and all that stuff. Is it something that someone would search? Here we go back to common sense. Is it something that someone would search for that if they found my product that they would actually buy it? That's the filter I run.
I had to add myself back with the head shake because that's really what we're looking at. If you're trying to find like the perfect mix of this and that,
yeah,
based on the keyword estimates that you're getting back, you're doing SEO wrong. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but we also have to layer in the common sense thing here, right? And Scott, you and I use the example, or at least I use the example all the time of sandals or flip-flops, right? There is another word that is also a word for women's underwear that is much more common somewhere like Australia. So if you are Australian and you're selling to Australians, you probably won't call them flip-flops or sandals. You would probably call those the name for women's underwear. If you are in America and you do that, that will lead to a lot of really confused people, even though what you will find is technically it's a relevant keyword for that product. And it probably has a really high search volume, maybe not on Etsy, but on other places like Google and Amazon, because it is something that people buy and wear. In fact, it's possible that half of the world's population could be searching for that, but it's not necessarily relevant to your specific product. And it's not relevant to your geographic area unless you're in New Zealand or Australia. So what are the ways that you and your friends would refer to these products? What is, kind of the general guidance? And then the most important thing is, what does the data show you? And that's why at the beginning of this, I said, one of the most important things is getting started early so that we can look at the data that comes back to us. Etsy understands to a pretty extensive extent synonyms, right? And other ways of refer plurals and some of these misspellings, all of those kinds of things. So we don't have to worry about getting it perfect. We just have to worry about getting it close enough and then letting the data come back to us and say, hey, these are the words that we really should be using, because when somebody types in this specific phrase, or when somebody does this, I know from my ads data and my organic search results data that we're now getting inside of Etsy, that this is what leads to clicks and sales for me. And that really is the lifeblood of what we're seeing inside of the Etsy algorithm. It's not the words we put in. That's a swipe yes, swipe no Tinder type test. It's really about the traffic and sales. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I like it.
Perlin wanted to know, Scott, how many Halloween products should we have for the Etsy algorithm to notice our listing?
One. That's it. No, I mean, being a little bit smart, but people think like there's a magic number, like, you should have 500 listings. You could have 30 listings, to me, if you have one good listing and it's got good demand and you're getting sales and you're getting ranked, you're going to be good, right? Like, so it doesn't matter if you have 10 listings and they all get one sale versus the other one might get 10 sales. It's the same difference, right? So it really does come down to doing your research, doing what is the projection of what it possibly could do per month. And that's kind of where you're going to gauge, like, how many listings do I want? Like, what's going to help you reach your goal? If your goal is to make, $1,000 a month and you make $10 on a product, how many products you need to sell to hit that? And then how much potential does one product have for you in the demand, area? So that's kind of how I look at it. So no, some people say like, yeah, but if you have like 30 listings, you're going to sell more. Well, yeah, I mean, you probably will because you have more chances, right? And then one. That's how I would look at it. It's not that you're going to get the algorithm to notice you now because you have that. Although I will say this, there is something to putting new listings up that not necessarily triggers the algorithm, but it does show activity in your account. The other thing that it will do is it will also send out notifications inside the Etsy Messenger to people that have favorited your shop, favorited items. And so that does help you because now you've actually sent out these notifications in a sense. Some say that if you put up new listings, Etsy sees that as activity and it helps you in your rankings. I don't know. I don't have any proof of that because I think it has something to do with also you put up a new item and then people that have followed your shop, they actually get notified and that's why your sales go up, right? That's kind of what I think.
Yeah, it really comes down to consistency, and we're getting a lot of like technical questions on the SEO side, which is fine. You may want to go back if you guys are watching this. We actually did a breakdown of the how the algorithm works with EverBee a couple months ago. If you go to the live section of this channel, you should be able to still find it. It's still there, and it's definitely worth going through. But I would say the listing is 90% of this. The shop is 10% of this. So if we're focusing on the shop, yes, they do have what they call the shop history score and some of those kinds of things, but it's really about the listing itself, which is why, Scott, we got asked the question the other day, like if I have, if I'm brand new, is it bad if I publish 10 listings all at once? And the answer is probably not. But also the reason that may feel bad is because we're not doing all of the ground level things. We're not making sure that the title is right, that the listing is right, that the images are right, that all of these things are set up the right way. We're trying to do this in bulk. And so I'd rather see you drip those out over 3-4 days to make sure that you're doing the optimization correctly than publishing those all at once. How long would you recommend running ads or having a listing to provide you good data? And the answer is, it depends. It depends on how much traffic you're getting. If you have 5 visits and no sales, that doesn't really tell you anything. If you have 500 visits and no sales, that tells you a heck of a lot. And comparing that with the other listings in your space can give you a really good baseline because you have a pretty good idea of how many sales your competitors are making, especially if you're using a tool like, I don't know, is there one for Etsy, Scott, that could help people find that sales and traffic volume?
Yeah, I think it's called.
It's like Ever something, right?
EverBee.
And so you can compare what kind of traffic. I know we're being snarky about it, guys. You can compare the type of traffic that you're getting in a given time period and the sales that you're getting in a given time period to your competitors to know if it's statistically significant or not, right? If they're only getting 5 visits a month and you have 5 visits in the last 30 days, then you're getting as much traffic as they are, and you can start to make some decisions from that, right? If they're making 5 visits and 4 sales, you have 5 visits and 1 sale, then you know you're not converting as well. And so you can start to make some of those things, some of those decisions.
Chris, I just wanted to say one thing here, and I'll make it quick. But it's a really, really good point that we need to bring up. Like, I know everyone talks about, and we literally just did a live yesterday on our channel at Brand Creators, which you guys are more than welcome to watch it. It's still up. But basically, people are all so obsessed with getting their listing fully SEO optimized, and they think that's the answer. When in reality, it's only a small portion of the answer. The answer is sales, right? So if you think about this for a second, if you were Etsy and you had 1,000 listings of the same similar products, and you had 5 that sold really well, but all the other ones were SEO'd better, would you care? Would you really care? Or would you say, no, these 5 are selling, I'm just going to put them 5 up and you guys can keep trying like your stuff, but until you get sales, I'm not going to really recognize you. That's it in a nutshell, guys. Now, I'm not saying it's not important to build out your site with fully optimized listings with good keywords using the tool EverBee and all of that stuff. Yes, it is important, because when you start getting those sales and you start running ahead of the pack, you want to broaden the net by having all of these other keywords that are in there that you could be seen for. But that's why, and this was brought up yesterday, when you're like Etsy ads needs to be thought of differently than just, I want to run ads so I make a sale, so I make money. What we need to say is we need to use Etsy ads as a tool to basically get sales so we can rank organically and then get 80% of our sales from organic and 20% from Etsy ads. And so Stephen Chin, who, recently, and I know Cody's, friends with him, and he's got a great little, tool he just launched and stuff, but he's like $1 million seller. And the way that he launches and the way that he looks at Etsy ads is he literally is going to break even or lose money even on his product sales. So another thing that we want to do when we launch is we want to, and this is like, people would be like, no, I don't want to do that. I'll lose money, or I won't make any money, is where you find your break-even price and then you run it at your break-even price for 2 to 3 weeks while you're running Etsy ads. You're not going to make any money, but you'll make money on the back end, right? And that's really how we look at it. And it's just a different mindset. But if you think about it, Etsy is going to promote products that are selling, not ones that are fully optimized that haven't gotten any sales. So, yeah.
I think the nugget that has me just stewing over here from all of that, Scott, is everybody thinks that SEO is about the words on the listing. It really isn't. Like, it's the same thing that I just said with the shop score versus the listing score. The words that you put in the listing are just there for Etsy to say, does this make sense for the search that the customer put in? Everything else is related to traffic and sales, right? Yes, there is some degree of how closely it relates to the exact thing that they typed in, but it really is about the traffic and sales side of that. And so we can SEO ourselves to death by trying to figure out the exact right combination of keywords and all of these things. But realistically, that's only one small portion. It really comes down to the traffic and sales side of things. And on that note, Margaret wanted to know, should I duplicate title words in tags? And the answer is you don't need to. And Etsy actually says in their documentation that there's no reason that you would need to do that. Now, if you have an empty tag slot and you can't think of another word, is it going to hurt you? No. Is it going to help you? Not really, because they're looking at the title, the description, and the tags to determine whether or not your listing is relevant for what that person is typing in. If you already have the word pumpkin in there, you don't need to have the word pumpkin in there. Again, it doesn't give you any extra SEO juice necessarily. A couple questions on niches. Are there any cross niches you would recommend for pairing with Halloween or Christmas or whatever the holiday may be? Halloween and Christmas, I would argue, are not niches, right? Holidays would be closer to niches than a lot of other things, because there are people who are just batty, get it, for Halloween, or, crazy for Christmas. But it's not necessarily, people don't say I am Christmas, right? They would say I am a fisherman. So that would be an example.
I'm in the Christmas niche, right? Like,
right. So there are two stores that I'm aware of that are technically in the Christmas niche, right? Like Christmas Tree Hill and Christmas Shop. But which, if you guys don't know, that's how Scott got his start selling stuff online, was buying bridges at a Christmas store, but not at Christmas, ironically.
Right.
But our suggestion would be layer holidays into your niche. So if your niche is bass fishing, put a Santa hat on a bass fisherman, right? Like just layer the holiday into your niche. And that's what I would be taking a look at.
Perfect.
Dream Talking with Vicky said, in my niche, which is tarot and dreams, people celebrate Halloween as, I think it's Samhain and Dia de los Muertos. Would these tags be used in a Halloween listing too? The designs will reflect all of them. And the answer is, if it's a design that somebody would, typing in Samhain, and guys, if I'm butchering that pronunciation, just feel free to yell at me. If they would associate it with that, and that's something somebody would type in and expect to find that product, then include it. Same thing with Dia de los Muertos, right? The thing that everybody knows that's associated with that, I'll just throw out, it's Coco, right? Like the Pixar movie, and it's about the colorful skulls and like all of these things. That type of stuff is what people would expect to pop up when they're typing in Dia de los Muertos. Jack-o'-lanterns wouldn't necessarily be the thing that's associated with that. So if it's something that makes sense with those specific keywords, absolutely include them in there. Scott, one of your examples may have been a trademark violation. And in the example, you showed a sweatshirt which used the Sanderson sisters. Do you know who the Sanderson sisters are?
I don't, but I thought that they were part of something. Because I've been seeing that quite a bit when I've been doing this research to kind of prepare for this. But
you remember the Halloween cult classic Hocus Pocus?
Yes.
Those are the Sanderson sisters,
okay.
right?
Okay.
And so, yes, that you probably want to stay away from that. But you could do something like, and I think it's 3 of them, right? Like 3 witches and a cat, and you could have it be a personalized thing. And if their last name happens to be Sanderson, that's not a trademark violation.
Right.
But if we're including that in the listing, in the title, in all of those kinds of things, then yes, that could be potentially a trademark or a copyright violation, depending on how sticky Disney wants to get with something like that. So yes, if it's something that you got like inspired from a movie, probably stay away from it. If it just happens to have that crossover.
And I would say on that too, like, okay, yeah, I mean, okay, so I found those products, right? But that would be also where I would find it and go, ooh, I don't want to go into this because number one, it's trademarked. And also those numbers aren't necessarily accurate for me because I'm not going to sell something that is a very popular movie or, characters in a movie, right? So that would be something you would look at and go, okay, check that one off. We're not doing that one, right? So anyway, but it also is a validation piece that people are buying Halloween stuff for, or sweatshirts for Halloween. So that would be just another indicator that people are actually buying these things for just basically one day, right? Or a month, let's say, because if people are school teachers, they probably get one for school and they wear it to school on occasion leading up to Halloween, right?
Yeah. And so this is actually further proof that the earlier you get ready, the better, Scott. You're familiar with our friend Angel, right?
Oh yeah.
Halloween for her is Christmas. So like they leave their Halloween decorations up till like March because they celebrate from July to March. And that's just their big holiday that they celebrate. Right. So it all depends. Should I duplicate title words in tags? No reason to do that. Would selling physical products and digital products on one Etsy account be counterintuitive because it'd be too large of a niche? Physical products, digital products, not a niche, right? Whatever those products serve, that would be the niche. And if both the physical products, like a t-shirt, and the digital products, like a how to carve a pumpkin guide, I'm really getting into this Halloween theme, man.
I know you are.
The how to carve a pumpkin guide, how to make fishing patterns on your jack-o'-lantern this year guide,
right?
Both serve your fishing niche, then absolutely include both of them. There's no reason not to do that. Digital products are a great addition to a store that is print on demand or physical products. Why? Because once you create it, it's there forever. They typically don't have as high of a selling price, but they have a much higher margin. Why? Because it's all margin. After Etsy fees, it's all margin. And so if you can include digital products in a physical goods store, great. If you have a digital product store, should you be including physical products? If they serve the niche, 100% absolutely. Scott Kennedy wanted to know, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with listing ideas. Where should I get started? Like if I have too many things to think about, how should I get started? What's the first step that I should take?
Well, I'm trying to understand, like, are we overwhelmed with like products? Which one should we launch first? Or are we just with listings, like what to do?
Yeah. So the ideas that I'm having for
the ideas.
Yeah.
Do your research, find the ones that have the most demand, that have the most promise. And then I would start there and work myself backwards. Like literally would do that. Like, I just had this conversation with my wife, cause she's got the same thing. She got so many ideas. She's like, I just don't have enough time. Like, I just want to get it all done. And she loves creating. So she's constantly like wanting to create because she's got so many ideas. And that's kind of the problem with like a creator. And then, someone that's really creative and then someone that is doing the business because it's a way to get it out there. but they would really just be in the creative space forever if they could be, right? So, and then what I told her was like, let's start with, you know, the one that shows the most promise, and then let's start adding on to that line, right? So you have to kind of prioritize, but you also want to look at the numbers. So this way here, you know that you're starting with the one that has the most demand and then working backwards, because we want demand. So when this does kick off fourth quarter, we're going to have the biggest pool of people in our niche. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Somebody had asked, what about title stuffing? Don't do it, right? If you guys aren't familiar with the concept, trying to shove as many keywords as you can into your title.
Yeah.
And again, this comes back to the same point that we've made a few times now, which is everybody thinks that SEO is about getting the perfect combination of keywords in. And that is one small fraction of what SEO really is all about. It's much better to have a human readable title with fewer keywords in it that will attract someone to the listing rather than them coming to the listing and going, what is a Halloween pumpkin carving Jibbity Flibbit jack-o'-lantern set? I have no idea, right? Versus jack-o'-lantern set. They know what that is. When they come to the listing, they know what to expect. They're not confused by the title. Having it written in a human readable way is much more important than trying to shove every variation of the keyword into the title. How long does it take for a new listing to start getting views and sales? It depends. Etsy, for a brand new listing, will almost always give it at least a little bit of a push, and you'll start to get impressions. How soon you start to get views on that listing, people clicking from the search results to come into that listing, will depend on how good of a job you've done up front and what your click-through rate is. So the better job you do with having a human readable title, a good price, good photos, all of those kinds of things, the faster you will start to see traffic. And then the faster you see traffic, the faster you will start to see results. This is also a reason why we like to run Etsy ads. Why? Because even though Etsy gives us a little bit of a baby boost when we create that new listing, because they don't have a listing history to figure out where we should be placed in the Etsy search results. To Scott's point earlier about, you know, there's 5 products that sell and 500 that don't. Well, those 5 products that sell are always going to be at the top, right? Etsy doesn't know if our product's going to sell, so they're going to give us a little bit of a chance. But if we take the initiative and we start to run just a few dollars worth of Etsy ads, that then lets Etsy just kind of open up the floodgates. They'll give us a lot more impressions, meaning they'll show us as people start to search on Etsy, which means we then have a higher chance of getting that click. And if we have a higher chance of getting that click, then we have a higher chance of getting that sale. I've seen products sell as soon as the same day, and I've seen products that take 2 or 3 months to get their first sale. It just depends on the product. It depends on the
and that's really why you want to try to get ahead of the game, right? Like, so like right now, if you're watching this, the time that this is going live or airing, you want to start putting your Halloween stuff up, right? As soon as possible, because it's going to give you that much of a, you know, kind of like a launch pad that's going to give you some time to get indexed and all that stuff. But the quickest way is to run Etsy ads, start getting sales, and then all of a sudden you're going to be indexed. And when the search traffic starts to come, you're going to be there. So that's the quickest way. And again, if you're watching this later, you know, in another part of the year, let's say that we're in February, well, you know, start thinking about the next holiday, right? Or if it was in January, you're going to start thinking about Valentine's Day, right? Like, so you always want to stay ahead of the holidays. And I know EverBee even has a little feature that they have built in that shows you all of the holidays that are coming. I mean, ones that I've never even heard of before. It's pretty crazy.
Had you ever heard of Sanheim before today, Scott?
No, I have not.
So it's one of those things we learn something every day. Because Sandra wanted to know, she said, I make wooden custom signs for my business. Great. Some are quite complex and take 3 to 4 weeks to make. They range from $150 to $400. Do you think Etsy would be a good road to take for something like this? Absolutely. 100%. People love buying custom stuff. The biggest part of the customer base on Etsy are people who are looking for unique things, right? Scott, have you ever been to the website Uncommon Goods?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like Etsy is that, but on steroids, and you get to deal directly with the seller and not some weird conglomeration of whatever they decide to show you. And so people who are looking for signs, who are looking for wood products, especially people who want something custom, will be coming to Etsy specifically to look for that product. So I would absolutely be listing those things. And I would not be worried that it takes you 2 to 3 to 4 weeks to make some of these things, because you're being paid for it and you're setting that expectation very clearly up front. Hey, you'd like me to do some really intricate woodwork on this? It's going to take me 2 or 3 weeks. Cool. They send you the money, you make them the sign, and you're good. How many products should I have in my shop before I run ads?
One.
And rule of thumb, and you got still feel free to ask them, right? But any question that starts with how many products, the answer is probably one, unless it's how many products should I have in my shop a year from now? The answer is a lot higher than one. Unless you are just completely busy doing nothing but selling that product, you should probably have more than one product in your shop a year from now. But if it's, how many do I need to get started? Any of those kinds of things, the answer is just get started with one. And Scott, to your response to that other question about where do I get started? The answer is you have to pick one and go. How do you do that? Start with the sales volume, any of the indications about which product might do the best. That's where I would start.
Here's something else on that, Chris. I think is really important. So last year, my wife launched like different products like that she hadn't sold before. So she had no data on her own shop of like what would do well. Well, this year, guess what? We've got that data. So now guess what we're doing? We're building out that product line with different designs now, right? And we're putting them on those types of products that did well for her, right? So you learn every time that you put something in there. Now, is there products in there that we thought were going to do good and they didn't do that great? Of course. But now we just push them to the side. You might get a handful of sales, or if you don't get any sales, guess what? You just turn them off. And then you just focus on the ones. It's the 80-20 rule, right? You're just going to focus on the ones, and you're going to get data from actually doing it. So my biggest thing is just get started, put something up there and just get started, and you start honing it in as you start getting the data. But right now, before Q4 starts, this is the time.
So speaking of how many Etsy products we should have, how often should we be adding new products to our Etsy store? As often as we can. There's no hard and fast rule. What we have found is the more consistent you are with that, the better off you are. Is that because Etsy is giving you a super boost because you're doing that consistently? Not so much, but it really comes back to lines in the water, right?
Yeah.
Like how many opportunities do people have to buy from you? If the answer is more, then you are more likely to make more sales if there are more opportunities to buy from you. So the more products you have in there, the better. There's no kind of upper limit. I would say, if you're launching a bunch of stuff and it's not selling, then maybe reel back on that and really focus on what is working and what's not.
Well, and I also think on that point, Chris, it's like, then that comes down to like, would you rather have 1,000 listings or would you rather have 100? Well, I'd rather have 100 that have more demand
that sell,
that
right?
Are selling that I can focus on versus 1,000. And that it makes my business so much more complicated because I have so many more things in Printify, so many more things in my Canva, so many things in every aspect of the business. It becomes messy. So I'd rather have less products, and I say less, I mean 500, right? Like, but instead of saying like it's just a pure mass game where I'm going after like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 products, and I'll get like one sale every 3 weeks on one. Like it's like, no, I'd rather do the other game.
I've done all of the SEO stuff, optimized everything, including buying mock-up photos from Etsy, and I'm still not getting sales. Probably have 4 real sales, and the rest are from friends and family. What should I do? First of all, you shouldn't be getting friends and family to buy your stuff. If they happen to, right? They just happen to find your thing on Etsy, and you go, that's crazy, Aunt Susan. That's one thing. But if you're sending your listings to friends and family, that actually, in a lot of cases, will end up hurting you. Why? Because Etsy is trying to figure out who your target audience is for that specific product. How do they do that? They do that by going through that entire giant checklist of all of the SEO things. And one of those things is your conversion rate. They do look at the people and the history of the people who are buying your listings and all of those kinds of things. And that can actually get you put in the wrong bucket. So if anybody you hear saying, send your listings to friends and family to have them buy that, has no idea what they are talking about. There is no reason to ever include that. Now, leaving that aside, assuming we didn't do that, right? The question here is, where is the problem? And we can't know where the problem is until we kind of go through that checklist. So what is the checklist for getting sales? The very first thing is, are we getting shown in the Etsy search results? Yes or no? And we can see that based on the traffic data. Are we getting clicks when we are shown? Well, that's our Etsy views, right? If somebody clicks, do they buy? That's our conversion rate. And so the question is, where is the breakdown? In your case, I'm willing to bet that it's probably on that click-through rate. So when somebody is seeing that listing, they're not clicking on it. But you would have to look at the particular listing to really get a better idea of where that breakdown is. But that's kind of the 3-step process that I like to go through. Are we being shown at all? If not, is there some sort of technical problem with the listing, or am I just using all of the wrong keywords, right? I typed in Sam Hain, and everybody's thinking of this as like a Halloween thing. or I typed in the name for women's underwear instead of sandals, and nobody in the US is using that term to describe this product, then I'm going to go change the listing. If you're getting shown and not clicked, then we have a click-through rate problem. We need to look at the title, the photos, and the price, make sure that we're competitive, that we have good photos, and we have a human readable title. If we're getting clicks and no sales, there's something else on the listing. Either the supporting photos don't give us what we need. Maybe our description isn't written well enough for people to understand what materials the product is made of, how it's made, some of those kinds of things. But if we walk through that process, it's very easy to start to figure out where the breakdown is in a particular listing. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Scott?
Yeah, I did. Just something real quick. I think it comes down to like everything you just said, but the main thing is like, is the product even getting demand, right? Like, or does it have demand? Is it like you said, Chris, you're going to look at your views or your impressions. Impressions are like, okay, how run Etsy ads, you're going to see that, right? You're going to be able to see that pretty quickly. So if what you're saying is like, well, I've been live, I've SEO'd everything and all this stuff, and that's great, but how many impressions has it gotten? And if it hasn't gotten that many impressions, then my first question would be like, is anyone else getting that many impressions? Right. So I'd want to look there first. And then if you check out and you're like, yeah, everybody, they're selling like 300 a month, and this one's selling 400 a month, and this one's selling 200 a month, and look at all the views that they're getting and all of this stuff, then I'd be like, okay, now we've got a conversion problem, right? So I'd start there first, because I'd almost be willing to bet, because I see this happen a lot, is like, there's just not enough traffic there, right? And right now, this time of year before Q4, not a busy time on Etsy, right? It just isn't, right? But once Q4 kicks in, you'll get some traffic. But that's what I'd be looking at. Same with you, Chris. But I think I'd really be looking at in the beginning is like those views or those impressions that could lead to views. Because the views are the people actually went on the listing. Impressions are it was displayed, no one clicked on it, kind of thing.
So our buddy Carlos just corrected me. He said, my iPhone corrected me. It's pronounced Soween, not Sam Hain. All right. I would not have gotten that, right? My English and limited Spanish pronunciation would not have gotten me there by any stretch of the imagination. So thank you for that correction. That's why I said I'm sure somebody in the comments will correct me. Do people buy Halloween products mostly for themselves or as gifts for others? I would say Halloween is probably more for yourself, your family. Thanksgiving kind of falls into that same thing, but the Christmas stuff,
yeah,
that starts to really get into gifts. Whether it's a funny Christmas sweater or whatever, any of those kinds of things really start to get into other things. Holidays are a little bit more personal than the rest of the year.
I agree. I think the only thing that would be different there is like for like Halloween, for like baby's first Halloween, like, you know what I mean? Like something like that. You might have something there. So yes, I agree. I think Halloween is more for the person. They're going to buy it to represent and to kind of show that they're into Halloween, right? It's not so much like, oh, I'm going to give so-and-so a gift for, unless their birthday was around that time or something. You know what I mean? Like that's the other side of it. But yeah, I agree. All right, Chris, before we move on, we can answer a couple more questions here, but I did want to remind everyone too, that if you are interested in, and you haven't yet gotten the EverBee tool, I would definitely recommend grabbing the annual plan. And yes, EverBee has been so kind to let us come on here and help you guys out. And yes, this here is a special bonus that we're giving alongside EverBee. We've partnered with them, and this is what we've decided to do. So if you're interested in saving some money and getting our bonus, the Niche Validation Workshop, which I believe is about 2 hours, maybe even 2.5. It was a live class that we taught. We recorded it, and you can have full access to that. Just go to brandcreators.com/90, and you'll go there. You'll select the growth plan, the annual. It comes out to like $19.99 a month if you break it down, and you'll get, basically, it's like getting 4 months for free. Because if you did the growth plan on the monthly, it's $29.99. So definitely check it out. I would definitely use it because I'm using it right now. Even if you if you didn't even want to do this, but you just wanted to get it for a few months for the, for the holidays, do that too, So, but I think you're going to get it and be like, this is one of those tools that I'm going to use all the time for all aspects of the business. So definitely check it out if you haven't done so already. All right, Chris, couple more questions, and then let's let everyone else get out there and start putting up products on their Etsy shops.
Sounds good. Big question, Scott. What is Q4? So Q4 is what people refer to as it's the fourth quarter of the year, right? October, November, December. It's usually the biggest time of the year for most people, right? Like Black Friday, the reason it's called Black Friday is not because it's a dark day where people stampede over each other for a $5 television, although that does also happen, right? It's if you kind of weren't in profit, right, in the black for the year at that point, you were doing something wrong. And so that was kind of the last chance to make a profit for the year if you weren't there yet. So October, November, December in the business world is typically referred to as Q4. Karen wanted to know, we don't need to put plurals in our tags. No, Etsy does a great job of understanding plurals and misspellings, some of those kinds of things. Again, if you have an empty tag spot, you want to throw it in there, especially if it's like a weird spelling plural. English is a silly language, right? Apparently so is Gaelic, which is where Soween comes from. But if it's like an ES instead of an S, or like one of those plurals where you change a V and add an E, maybe. But Etsy does a really good job of understanding that. So if you can find a better keyword, use that instead. If you have an empty slot and you can't think of anything else to put in there, feel free to do it. What about Starbucks? There's a lot of listings on Etsy using the same logo design, etc. Starbucks, just like anything else that's copyrighted or trademarked,
Dunkin' Donuts,
do not do, right? Just because people get away with it doesn't mean they should get away with it, or they will continue to get away with it. And it's definitely not something that you would want to do. Now, can you do a parody of it? Yes. And does that violate trademark law, copyright? No. But the question is, do you want to have that fight? Probably not, right? Like trademark, copyright, fair use, that to me goes the same way as a contract. Contract is only as good as the lawyer you can afford to enforce it. And same thing with a copyright, trademark dispute, any of those kinds of things. It's only as good as the lawyer you can afford to fight it for you. And so probably not worth your time. You have a product that's inspired by a movie. Is it okay to put the movie in the tags, but not the title or description? No, you should not be. I would just stay away from anything that's inspired by. Just avoid it. Is it worth uploading a video to your listing? Yes.
A big head nod. Yes, up and down. Yes, yes, yes. And here's why, really. Not even so much that people are going to watch it and buy your product. They may. It's more of when people are scrolling, that video is going to auto play. So it gets attention. So that's why I'm a fan of doing those short videos. Now, can you do it on all of them? Probably not if you have a lot of listings. But I would work myself backwards. What has the most potential? What has the most demand? I'd be focusing on them first and then working backwards.
I already have EverBee. Can I get the brand validation class? The answer is, I believe so. If you let EverBee know that you already have their growth plan through some other way, they can hook you up with that.
Yeah, they'll definitely hook you up with that. I already told them that's fine. If you already have it, you're already on the growth plan, just let them know and they'll send you over our class for free.
Dave wanted to know, do you guys fire up a new store for a new niche, or do you do a general store? New store, new niche. Along those same lines, Scott, is there a limit to how many Etsy shops you can have? By the way, I pay ads and get 90% of my sales organically. Not all that uncommon. Don't know if they are working as well as they used to. And the answer is, go in and look at your ads data. As far as how many Etsy shops you can have, the answer really is as many as you can handle. You do have to have different login credentials for them, but I don't think there's a hard limit on the number of shops that you can have.
I heard 3, but I don't know. I've heard other people having more, but listen, like I would much rather have 1, maybe 2, because it's all you're going to be able to handle. And it's like, then you kind of start seeing like diminishing returns, right? It's like, I'd rather put my attention. That's why the question of like, should I focus on one niche or should I focus on, more than one niches? You can go wider. I just wouldn't make it a general store where I'm talking about fishing and then I'm talking about knitting, right? And crafting. Right. If it's fishing, then we can throw in hunting and we can throw in maybe mountain climbing and we can do camping. Like I'm okay with that. It's just, I wouldn't want it to be all over the map. Right.
Right. We don't want to have vegan stuff and carnivore stuff in the same shop, right? Like those are two dynamically opposed people. And if a vegan comes to your store and sees "I love meat" t-shirts, that's probably not a good thing. Unless it's like clearly an Impossible Burger, which again would potentially be a trademark violation. So we're into that whole thing, right? But if we're selling fishing stuff and we're going to start to include other outdoor things, well, the actual niche that fishing is in would be sports and outdoors, right? And so yes, we can start to niche up, niche down, go into some shoulder niches, but we don't want to start adding cooking stuff into a sports and outdoor store, right? That would just be something we want to avoid. So Scott, we have two questions that are related, so I'm going to give them to you together. First comes from Pro Ghostwriter for You, says, is having a separate website with your Etsy shop name, or is it better just to stay on Etsy? And then 850 Plants said, is a pattern website useful in combination? In my opinion, you should be having a separate website outside of Etsy at some point. You don't need it to get started, but at some point I'd like to have you see that second property, and I'd actually like to see you have that outside of Pattern. Why? Because Pattern is owned by Etsy. So if you ever have a problem with Etsy, there's a really high likelihood that you're going to have a problem with Pattern as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with doing stuff externally, but getting started to not get overwhelmed, to market my shop internally with all the tools they give us inside of there. I'd run the Etsy ads. Like, I would do everything and get that thing like fully dialed in. But I also, that's why whenever we're picking a niche, we want to know that we can build an email list externally, right? We can build a content site maybe, or maybe we can start a YouTube channel. Like, and all of that stuff will help us grow our Etsy sales, but also starts to build our own audience and our own properties, right? That we own. So I am a fan of that. But it really comes down to, are you doing this as strictly as 100% side hustle and you don't want to go down that road? Totally cool. But if you are trying to build this thing out to get bigger, to where you are going to make maybe 6 figures, then I would say you're probably going to need to do some external stuff, meaning building an audience, email list, maybe a YouTube channel, content site with, Google and SEO and all of that stuff. But that stuff can get overwhelming. We're a big fan of it. We're called brand creators. That's where I publish my Rock Your Brand podcast, meaning we aren't just building a brand on Etsy. We're building a brand that can be on and off of the platform. Anything else, Chris? Are we good to rock and roll on out of here?
2 really quick Etsy picks. 2,000 pixels. Is it crucial that they be 2,000 pixel minimum? As long as they're good, is it okay? Etsy's recommending something. Probably follow their guidelines, right? 2,000 by 2,000, I believe. I think their actual guidance is 2,000 on the shortest side, but if it's a square, then it would be even, right? So 2,000 by 2,000 would be the minimum that you would want to upload there. And I think there's also, they want it at 72 PPI as well. The reason for that is the different combinations. You want to be able to see the details of the image. If you're uploading like a 700 pixel image, it's going to get really blurry, and that's going to affect your conversion rate if they'll even let you upload it at this point.
Hey, Chris, I'm actually going to be doing a video on this here shortly. Ooh. But we just got and I'm looking at my screen because I'm reading it right now, but there's been an update by Etsy. It was in the community manager posted this. We're making updates to size and ratio for listing images. And basically they've been testing the different sizes, the different constraints, and they said that the square won. And so now they're going to be making, and I think the date's in here. I think it's August. When was it? I'm trying to scan here quickly. But I believe it was August. Yeah, it just says starting early August. Listing images in your shop home will display in a square format, matching the photo format across other areas of the site, like market pages. No immediate action is required. However, you may want to start taking and uploading images with this format in mind. And then basically it gives all the criteria, and it does say 2,000 on the shortest side. So 2,000 pixels on the shortest side, but they like a square image in 72 PPI. So and keep it under 1 megabyte.
So Anush here is psychic, apparently, or they got that email and said, hey, maybe I should ask this question today. I don't know. But here's the deal. So what I would be doing for anybody that's listening to this, they're saying early August. If you're watching this live, it is July 27th.
Yep.
I would be going through and just making sure that all of the images are square. I know they're not saying that you have to do that. Why would I do that? Well, chances are, if they're like most other platforms, they're just going to come through and make it square if it's not square.
Oh, they are.
And,
yeah.
And you want to be the person who chooses what's in that image. You don't want something crucial to get cut off on the side. So just go through your listing images, make sure that they're square. If you have a couple minutes to do that, right? It's not like it's super labor intensive.
Right.
It is something that you could do while you're sitting there watching TV, while you're sitting out by the pool, since it is the end of July, right? Whatever it is that you're doing this week, go through your listings, just make sure that they meet those requirements. And again, like, yes, could they take smaller images and scale them up? Probably. Will they do that to meet those? Maybe. Are they going to cut rectangles into squares? Yes. Do you want their AI little robot that's going to do that to be the person making that determination? No. Why? Well, if we make Scott a rectangle here, right, and they're just going to chop off the sides, think about where they might chop that off to make it a square. They could just take his head, his head right off there, and that's a square, right? So you don't want them to be the people making that decision. I would avoid that altogether, right? This is a square. This is also a square. This gives you much more information than just my head and neck does. You want to be the person that is making that determination. The last question I have in the queue here, Scott, is from Sally61. She said, if I use Printify, how many suppliers do I need to add? Plus, does Etsy work out that I'm in the UK, but shipping from the USA? It's all very confusing. So the answer is, where are your customers, right? That's where you're going to be selling. And that's where I would be looking for the suppliers. In terms of the total number of suppliers, I would say as many as you need. There's no like hard and fast rule for this. You don't need to have 3 suppliers for a t-shirt, right? If you can find one product that has one supplier, that's really what you're looking for. Is there anything you wanted to add to that before we jump
Just
off?
that I keep it simple. I try not to get too many suppliers because then it can get messy. And I would want to stick with the ones that have given me good results with the good products, good customer service, and things like that. So I would try to find products within that one supplier if I can. And I think Printify really does a good job of helping you locate them. And then once you do, then you kind of set it up and then you're kind of good. So I wouldn't say like, oh, you got to have 5 suppliers. No, if you're trying to launch 5 different products, try to find a supplier that handles all 5 products. That way it just makes it easier for you. And you know what you're getting as far as customer service and all of those things. We cool?
One snuck in here from Lisa M. He said,
oh,
does editing images all at once across our whole shop damage our rank? No. Images aren't going to be a direct ranking factor because Etsy doesn't even really know what's in the images itself. They are going to influence your click-through rate. And since Etsy is now telling you that these are the types of images that you should be uploading, making sure that our images meet those requirements is going to give us much more benefit than it's ever going to cause us harm.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that could hurt you is the title change. So if you change your title, that could get you re-indexed. Anything like that, or anything even in your description, maybe tags. I don't know. I would do little with the title, unless it's way before the season. I wouldn't mess with it during the season. But
yeah, I would say like top to bottom impact, title, description, tags, images.
Yep.
Right. Like that would kind of be the thing. And there's really diminishing returns, diminishing impact, I guess would be the thing that we're looking for there. As we start to move our way down that list, it's an exponential drop off in how much it's going to influence your overall placement.
Yep. All right, cool. So guys, do me a favor. All right. We went on here for 90 minutes, it looks like. So just about 90 minutes. Let us know in the comments, did you get value from this? And why don't you go ahead and give a little love to EverBee that is in the comments, by the way. It's Natalie, I believe. And give her a little bit of love and maybe like the video or like the live or wherever you're watching this, and drop a comment and let them know that they're doing a great job, because they're working hard, guys. I know that they have a lot of just people now helping to get the best data, to make the best features. And there's some things that they've let me know about that they're working on behind the scenes. And let me just tell you, it's amazing, like what they're doing. So, and we're talking outside of just product research. There's some things that they're going to be doing that's going to help us even market our businesses better. So really, really cool stuff. So definitely subscribe to their channel. So, like this video. If you're watching this on Brand Creators, if you could do us a favor, give us a little love there as well. You can subscribe. We've got a whole bunch of resources there as well on the channel, and give us a little love, because the algorithm on YouTube likes when people like the video and comment on the video and give it a little bit of love. So we would really appreciate that. All right. And if you do want to try, EverBee out and you want to get that annual plan, we'll send you over that free bonus if you go to brandcreators.com/90, and you can get that there. So once again, guys, that's it. That's going to wrap it up. As always, take care, take action, have an awesome, amazing day, and we'll see you right back here on one of these channels. All right. Take care, guys. Have a good one.